Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the race. Apparently, OBS decided to do a absolute just die. Okay, right, restarting the race. This will be interesting. Let's see how it goes. This should be fun. Hopefully, all of the drivers have turned up and nobody has gone missing. If somebody has gone missing, it'll be very disappointing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SwiftRacingLeague. A league where Codemasters likes to really screw a server. For some reason, every so often, you will see the server just disappear. Just break. The server will just bottle itself. For whatever reason, God knows. But, do you know who to blame? Codemasters. Okay. So welcome back to Mexico. You join us going into the restart of the race. We'll be starting back from lap 1. And from lap 1. Here we go. Excellent. From lap 1, we'll be starting with the grid that was there at the end of the safety car. If you were there in our previous stream, you would see. Hopefully, this grid will not break again. So, welcome to Mexico City. We are currently waiting for Ancha and Fenrir to download the game. But once they've loaded the game, we can begin. Mexico City is the place of where we'll have our race. It's called the Autodrome Hermanos Rodriguez for round 2 of Swift Racing League. We are 7.5 thousand feet above sea level on a 2.6 mile track. Absolutely long track for for racing. When I say long, it's not really that long. It's pretty short actually for racing, but nonetheless, we'll be doing 36 laps of pure utter carnage. Hopefully not carnage. I don't know. We'll see how it is. It is a wet race. It will be wet for the remainder of the race, if I am correct. Hopefully, we can actually get some audio from the game. The audio is on before you start complaining. And soon, at about lap 20, you will see a pop-up for Driver of the Day. Now, with Driver of the Day, you are free to vote on which driver you prefer. Obviously, the drivers who are left in the grid will be the ones chosen. And there is 5 green lights, and away we go! Coast Guard and Nips starting at the front. Jeremy Clarkson at P5. We see them all going into turn 1. Side by side, they actually get a better start this time. Nips is not immediately overtaken by everyone else. Bashi is up into P2. Will there be carnage going into turn 1 again? Oh, there is contact between Coast Guard and Bashi. Bashi gets a little bit of a skid, but is able to control it. With Jeremy Clarkson now up into P3. Nips got bullied down to P4. He is very slow. There is a virtual safety car. Somebody has lost their wing, and there is debris on the track. Now, this is not what you expect to see from Tier 1. But this is what we saw last time. Absolute carnage and nonsense. Shenanigans, if it's the correct words. But we have, from the top, Coast Guard, followed by Bashi, who's gained a couple of positions. Let's see if we can get a counter on that position. What is the controls? I don't know the controls. Oh, no. Here we go. Position change. There we go. Let's get some lap data in a map. Here we go. So we've got Bashi, who improved by 1 position. Jeremy Clarkson going up from P6 up into P3. And Nips dropping down 2 positions, and Max dropping down 1 position. Now Bashi is up into first on the restart of the virtual safety car. There is shenanigans going at the back of the grid, and Lukai and Genie have had an incident between themselves. Both of them have been dropped down to the back of the grid, with Genie possibly taking some damage. There's a yellow flag into Sector 2, Sector 3, and Fenry has left the session. He has had some disconnection issues, but there is contact between Cameron and Ulipat. Ulipat will not be happy, and Cameron is around. He has lost traction, and he is spun around. Maybe got some damage to his rear wing. And Ulipan is taking full advantage of the spin of Cameron. And we have got Baklau going into the pits. He will have damage as well. Maybe that is the impact that caused Luca and Genie to go into the pits. But there will be a double stack between Luca and Genie. Luca is changing his front wing, and Genie is going to be mad, but he also has to change his front wing. That may be it for their race, unless we see another safety car, and we go back to the front of the grid, and Rin has made up 8 positions, and he's on the outside of Max, and Max is dropping like flies here. Bro, he has dropped from being near the front of the grid down to P7, and it's looking like the natural pecking order of Tier 1 is starting to emerge. And Atcha has somehow gained positions. He's up into P5 from P8, going slow into the turn. But what can you expect when there's just not enough traction? They are on full wets, and it's looking like it'll be wet for the rest of the race. And Atcha goes a little bit wide, but it doesn't matter. According to Rin, it doesn't matter because Rin is unable to make anything coming out of that straight there. But Atcha is a little bit hesitant on the brakes, so Rin has a little bit of chance to catch up. And Rin is very close to overtaking Atcha, and there's a time penalty for Cameron, going a little bit wide, trying to take full advantage of them track limits. Just goes a little bit wide. It's not what you're expecting. Jeremy Clarkson, oh, the fastest lap is just going down and down and down, and Edu's got 130.4. These guys can very much improve on their fastest lap, and Atcha is already out of ERS. Edu sets the fastest lap of 130.2. Obviously, that will soon be beaten at some point, and Atcha is now starting to lose positions. He is out of ERS. What has he been doing to lose that much ERS? No. That is not out of ERS. That is just his light flashing from it, obviously being wet. And my stupid brain, for some reason, did not clock onto that. And there is now a penalty to Atcha for cutting that corner. And Ren is just going up like a bullet. He's now up to P5. Course Guard is being overtaken by Edu. Is Edu able to actually get another overtake onto Jeremy Clarkson? Jeremy Clarkson gets a nice traction coming out of that, basically a hairpin. Course Guard gets a little bit of a slip. He's slowly losing down to Edu. Edu is just a better driver going into the S's. Course Guard is able to keep up, but is going very deep into these S's here. And Edu is just gaining time on Course Guard actually. Course Guard is losing. And Farham, as usual, track extends. But he has not spun out. He's actually gained 5 positions from his original place. And what is going on near the back? Cameron gets another corner cutting penalty. Something has happened to his race. He's racing on controller, so this is not what you'd expect to be seeing coming out of him normally if he was on a wheel. And we see Britten gets the fastest lap. He's catching up to Course Guard, and Max is just dropping behind. He's out of DRS range if it was a dry lap, but it's not a dry lap. And Atcha is actually attacking Max right now. Max has nothing to say to Atcha. Maybe he has too much of a heavy downforce setup, and Atcha is able to get a nice overtake on Max. Max may just have a completely bad setup, or he's just not used to racing in the wets. Baclau getting the fastest lap. He is in P16. Can he make time up to Cameron? Cameron, we see, is making lots of mistakes, getting these time penalties like it's nobody's business, going very slow into the first set of chicanes. But is this purposeful? We don't know. He's only actually lost 1 position from his original starter position, and Lukai and Abroad Genie are just way too far. Something has happened to Genie. He's way far now behind Lukai. He may have spun. We are seeing the rain get worse and worse through the race. And it is a slow race for everyone. These are not the speeds that you would be expecting. In fact, if I had my eyes open, I would have noticed that it is a virtual safety car. A virtual safety car slowed down. Jeremy has just lost that traction. But he kept it under control because he was going exceptionally slow due to the virtual safety car, of course. Now, is Greeny and Oatley gonna make anything come out of this? So Greeny just gets a little bit of a snap there. Green has to overtake Farham just to prove he is that better Tier 1 racer. Obviously, Farham, we never see him race in any previous seasons. He only raced for 2 races. And Baclau is out of the race. What could possibly have happened under a virtual safety car? He has done his special once again as the restart gets underway. But I kind of want to see what happened to this guy. And he just sort of hits the wall and is out of the race. And everyone is still kind of just going slow here. The rain is very strong. It seems to be getting worse and worse. What is going on? There is a massive pileup. And well, there's not a crashing pileup. Everyone's just going slow. Coming out of the first left, right, left. I mean, right, left, right. Oh, and Max gets a lockup. Is he on ABS off? That might be a poor decision from him going into a wet race. We will see. Greeny gets the overtake of Max because Max went wide, but he's unable to get the traction down to overtake Farham. Farham is just able to get that traction down. He makes full use of that track limits. Greeny gets a little bit of a snap. Farham is being a lot cleaner right now than Greeny is. Greeny is losing time, and Jorn de Boer gets a 10-second penalty, but he does actually get the position on Oates. Did he overtake off the track or not? We do not know. No, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking way too fast for my own voice. Nips, he unfortunately dropped a lot of positions. He is now into P14. Will he be able to get that comeback to come in? He's gained quite a little bit of time onto the pack ahead. We don't see a lot now happening. Everyone's kind of just getting their distances away from each other. And Fenrir is disconnected, and Abroad Genie does get a corner cutting penalty. Now Genie, normally he'll disconnect at this point out of pure frustration, but the rules this season have dictated that he cannot do that. He must race at least half of the race. That will be the end of lap 13 going into lap 14. Early after the start of lap 14 can Genie disconnect, which I don't know if he would do, but normally he would at this point. And there is another virtual safety car, and Lukai is stopped for some reason. Don't know what was going on there. Maybe it was just a little bit slow, but Ulipat is coming out of the pits. He will still be ahead of Lukai and Genie. Now, is Greeny going to be kicking himself here out of choosing to give Lukai the chance to get into Q3, other than himself getting into Q3? As we go into the green flag, Farham just escapes Greeny. Just shows the pace of Farham on the green flags that he has. In fact, he's shown that he's a pretty good racer in the wets. Greeny is getting a lot of snapping, as we saw from him earlier. But it seems to have it under control now. I wonder if that virtual safety car actually managed to give them a lot of cold tires here. Course Guard is slowly dropping time on the top 4 drivers. The top 4 drivers are showing impeccable driving skills. Edu is now up into P3, gets a little bit of a snap coming out of that last corner. Jeremy Clarkson and Bashi. Bashi is for somehow in P1, but obviously he was coming out of being P3 at the start of the race, and he's just showing just how capable he is in keeping that position. Jeremy Clarkson is slowly gaining on him, going through the straights. Bashi breaks a little bit too early. Jeremy goes a little bit late, makes him a bit deep, but it actually puts him to the advantage of gaining time onto Bashi. And Edu is just being Edu as usual, and being absolutely phenomenal with his driving. And we see Carter in the chat. Carter is coming late from work. Carter, why are you so late from work? You should be in this race, but it does not matter. The guy who has overtaken your seat in Alfa Romeo, which is Lukai, is proven to be just as excellent of a driver as you are, Carter. Anyway, we join the front 4. These guys are showing incredible consistency with how accurate these guys are driving. Carter was saying he was at a swimming meet. Apparently swimming is more important than racing cars. But Carter, if you were going to be an Olympian, I applaud you for your choice of sports. Obviously one sport is greater than the other. You know how I mean. Anyway, there is currently a 3-way battle between 2 Alpines and a Red Bull, AlphaTauri, sorry, and a Red Bull. Obviously one of the AlphaTauris is disconnected from the race. It is Fenrir, and his AI is just too fast for Oatly here. Oatly is just unable to get the consistency to overtake against that AI. It seems Mexico is just not the track for wets. Atcha has dropped many positions. He now sees himself behind Oatly, but can he get the straight line speed to overtake Oates right now? And it's looking they'll be side by side going into turn 1, or maybe not if Atcha can just get that. And they're side by side going into turn 1 right now. Oatly is on the inside going into turn number 2. This may be where it actually counts. Can he squeeze? And he squeezes Atcha. Absolutely phenomenal driving. I just had to back off there if he did not want to hit into Oates. That's what we expect to see from a natural Tier 1 driver and the new Tier 1 driver. And Adja going a little bit deep, just trying to get a little bit of pace here. I'm just going to take a little bit of a break on speaking so much. We're going to rejoin and watch the top 4 as they race impeccably. We see Jeremy Clarkson actually getting a time penalty. Considering how consistent these guys are, that will cause him a little bit of an issue. Bashi is slowly losing time to Jeremy. We don't really know. They're kind of hovering about the 0.4, 0.6 time, depending on how the traction goes for them through each corner. Nothing of interest is going on right now, but Rin has dropped a second down from Edu. He's out of that slipstream. Edu is in Jeremy Clarkson's slipstream. Jeremy Clarkson actually broke the slip, so Edu didn't get it, and Edu just did not care. I don't think he was looking to overtake at this moment. He may be looking into overtaking going into this corner here, and Edu just gets a little bit of a different line from Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson actually upset hit his vehicle, but he was able to control it because he's just that good of a driver. And Bashi is still just half a second ahead of Jeremy. Jeremy is just unable to break that half a second time. Bash is going a little bit slow, but Jeremy has to slow down. And it is causing him to be a little bit too cautious. He goes for that wider line, see if he can get that better traction on the exit. He is unable. Bashi just makes up a 1/10 of a second. Rin has gained a second from being a second down. Somehow has caught up to these guys in 2 corners. Course Guard is now 5 seconds behind the rest. But it really doesn't matter, because the closest guy, Farham, is the 1.5 and he's actually gaining onto Course Guard. Well, not at this very point, but a second ago he was. And Farham gets a 3-second penalty. Farham's second penalty at this point puts him to 6 seconds down from Course Guard. There is no active battles happening right now other than the one that's going up ahead. But that just seems to be a battle for the slip. None of them are able to make that slip count. They are way too close to each other. Bashi actually goes to the right hand side of the track, trying to break the toe. Edu is not taking that slip. Jeremy is hugging tight into him. He knows he has to get him at some point. He was thinking of going down the inside. Bashi gets a little bit of a slide into that corner. He was thinking of oh, Bashi slowed going into that corner. Jeremy is hit into the front of him. Is that going to cost Jeremy his front wing? Will he be furious? I don't know what is going on here. I don't see any damage. Let's see if we can change camera view. Do we see any damage on Jeremy Clarkson's front wing? I cannot seem to see any damage here. I don't think there has been damage, but Jeremy gets that 5-second penalty. That actually puts him 8 seconds down in terms of penalties from everyone else. So at the moment, if the race was to end at this point, Jeremy would actually come out P7 behind Jorn de Boer, if my maths is correct, which it is not. It would actually come out P6 behind Farham. And Genie gets another penalty. We see actually Genie and Luca have switched positions, and they're both going into the pits. They're going to stack up again, getting them fresh softs. It is not yet time for inters, and I don't think it will ever be time for inters. It is a complete wet race throughout, and they're going to stack up. Genie is not changing the front wing, so the stacking is not taking long. But Luca is being held and awfully, and Luca is going on to inters. He's going on to inters. Is it dry enough for the intermediates here? We're going to see as it does his outlap whether or not it is dry enough for the intermediates. And if it is, Luca may have made the correct choice. If it isn't, he has basically thrown his own race out of the window. He is in the territory of actually being overtaken. He needs to get ahead of that safety car before the rest actually overtake him. Because if he doesn't, he'll be stuck behind this. No, Luca is making the mistake of yielding to the blue flags. Do not do that, Luca. Get ahead of them safety cars. And he yields to the blue flag. Unfortunate for Luca here. Is the safety car going to let him ahead? Yes, it does. And the guys at first are going to be held behind the safety car. And currently, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pole position for both McLarens of Bashi and Rin. I actually question Jeremy Clarkson probably went into the pits for a new set of inters. He is down next to his teammate Korsgaard, who's actually currently in 8i. Greeny was unable to gain onto Farham, so decided to go on a new set of intermediates. I don't know if Lukai did a genius here, but this was his make or break moment. He's still going to be at the back of the pack anyway by the time he gets around the track. He has to go pretty quick if he doesn't want the safety car to go back in underneath him. His teammate Genie is staying on wets. Whether or not that would be a horrible decision, we have yet to find out. And coming from the top, we have Bashi, followed by Edu, followed by Ryan, Rin, followed by Farham is now up into P5, maybe because he did not pit while everyone else pitted. Followed by Adcha, he was still in the P5, the top 5 positions. He was losing time like crazy. Maybe or maybe not, he may have not pitted. That did not make sense, but you know what I mean. Followed by Oatley here, he's now up into P6. And then Nips, Jeremy Clarkson, who's got penalties galore. And then Korsgaard. Is Korsgaard still in the race? We don't know. We have to check for the driver behind him, but the driver behind him is just not close enough for us to see that. The driver behind him is actually Jordan de Boer, is now down into P10 from the start of the race. Followed by Fenrir, is now up into P11 from being basically last. Greeny is now coming out of the pits. We've got Cameron in front of Greeny. Greeny has lost positions to Max and Cameron. Cameron, is he on that new set of softs? Let's find out if we can find the menu. We cannot find the menu. How the hell do we find the menu? Here we go. Let's get them details. Tire details. Everyone is on new set of tires. And I don't know why it says softs. It actually meant wets. Cameron decided to go onto new wets. We have a mixture of tires. The top 7 did not go for a new set of tires. They wanted to maintain position. We have yet to see whether or not the intermediates are actually better than the wets, because if they are, these top 7 are going to be kicking themselves to why they did not pit. We may be seeing a complete upchange in the actual standings at the moment, in the actual leaderboard. We may end up seeing Jeremy Clarkson at the front of the grid if the wets are not it. Now, they may be sticking to their original strategy. Maybe not, but the original strategy was saying you pit for a new set of wets on lap 13, or lap 14 it was. That's only in 2 laps. So it's questionable to why they did not decide to pit earlier. The safety car may be coming in at the end of this lap. If Lukai and Abroad Genie can catch up, this is their chance. Lukai is pushing hard. He really wants to catch up. And Genie is also pushing hard. I don't know if Lukai is happy on them intermediates. He does seem to be going very slowly through the S's. Them softs may actually be the one, in which case Jeremy Clarkson, Korsgaard, and Greeny and Lukai may have a difficult time, and they may end up needing to pit once again. Genie hits the wall. Is that any damage for him? We don't know. But they're going to have to really push if they really want to catch up to the back of the safety car by the end of this lap. And if Luca is unable to catch to the back of the safety car, that may be it for his race. But Genie is still in a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, what we were talking about earlier is that Genie actually usually ends up DNFing by his own choice, retiring out of the race for normally spinning near the start of the race. But according to the new rules, you cannot do that until lap, lap 14, at the start of lap 14. But that is due to the fact that safety cars may actually bring you back into the race. And so it is better to have another chance than for you to just rage quit, which is what we may end up seeing happening now. Genie is actually catching up to the back of the pack. Safety car is in this lap. Genie and Luca especially, is going to have to push really hard if he wants to catch up to the back of this pack. Unfortunately, unlike qualifying, you cannot cut corners. Oh! And Luca has had a little bit of a spin there after touching the curb. And that may cost him severely in catching up. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, we see at least one of the Alfa Romeos is able to catch up to the back of the pack. And we're going to watch how the restart happens. Bashi immediately starts going away in the middle of that corner. And Edu was prepared, and Edu is side by side with Bashi. Is Bashi going to try and push Edu to the corner of the track? Try and push him to the right hand side? So he maintains his left hand position and decides to stick on the outside of that corner. And Edu's on the inside. Bashi squeezes him, and that is a fair move from Bashi. Edu's going to be very upset. Maybe they may be throwing a few words in the voice chat. And Edu tries to find the inside, and they make contact between Bashi and Ryan. Decides to take advantage of this. Edu's losing a position, but Ryan just yields to Bashi, giving him back that P1 because he knows it's not his to take. Will we see team orders between them? Because we don't know yet who's the faster driver out of the pure race pace, because these guys were unable to get side by side essentially. And Edu has costed himself that position of second. Going a little bit too deep. Farham is actually losing time to the 3 ahead. And Adcher is staying on Farham's tail as they go into sector 3. We're going to take a second, see if we can get a capture of that replay. Are we going to have a replay that shows us the collision between Bashi and Edu? No, the replay was unable to capture the incident between Bashi and Edu. So we're going to switch back to the main race. The McLarens are side by side. Bashi's on the outside. Going into turn 1. Ryan takes the position. He had the slip on the straight. Bashi's unable to actually show anything for it. And Edu's right on his tail. He's trying to find the position so where he can go for the snap. Where he can go for the overtake, the snap overtake. Farham has gained a little bit of time on them. The battling in front of Edu may be slowing him down, allowing Farham to gain on him. And Adcher gets a little bit of a slide. And Ryan is now starting to make a gap onto Bashi. Bashi is in trouble from behind because Edu is very close up into him. And we're going to see if Nifs is not close enough to the guy in front. But we're going to see Cameron here is actually to go side by side. Cameron and Fenry. It's Fenry. Fenry is in the AI. So the AI is giving Cameron a little bit of a difficult time. Cameron goes wide. Fenry, the AI is real squeeze. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. This is not what you want to be seeing from the AI. That may have caused an accident. But Cameron was able to keep composure. And he maintains ahead, and we're seeing a lot of people are getting these corner cutting penalties. Let's see if we can get a capture of that replay from that abysmal driving from the AI. And Cameron gets another 3-second penalty. We're going to jump back to Edu, who's very close on Bashi. In fact, you know, the battle still continues with Jeremy and Cameron. Cameron is on the inside. Jeremy leaves him enough space. It is a battle between the wets and the intermediates. There's a contact there. Cameron tried to turn in, but Jeremy was there. Jeremy gets a little bit of a slip. Cameron's unable to make the traction go track. And Jeremy's just actually losing time. Oh, Cameron goes for a daring dive. And they make contact. Cameron's got damage. Jeremy maintains the position ahead. Is Cameron going to cede the position? Because that is just a dirty overtake. This is just dirty driving we're seeing between Jeremy and Cameron. Cameron is not happy. And Coast Guard has spun. The other Aston Martin has spun. And now it will be a battle between Coast Guard and Abrogini if Abrogini is able to catch up between them. And Ulpa is slowly clawing back positions. This is not what we want to be seeing, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be seeing the replay between the AI and Cameron. They're all up in each other's tires. Not what you want to be seeing during a race. This is the very shambles driving between them. And I feel like Cameron's very much being hindered. Both by the rain, the wets, and the controller, and is diving into the pits. Jeremy still has that hefty penalties. And a lot of people here are getting penalties. These guys were giving Tier 2 a grief for having penalties, but we are seeing them all with atrocious driving getting their own penalties here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not what you'd expect from Tier 1 driving. We're going to catch up with Jon de Boer, kind of weaving left and right. He's slowly been catching up to early. And there is a yellow flag in Sector 3. What is going on? Lukai is stopped on the track. He must have spun coming out of that last corner. He's going to be very frustrated with himself. We see the Tier 2 driver, the reserve, is just unable to convert his qualifying into decent race pace. Seems the wet is actually causing him a lot of grief. I wonder what it would have been like for him if it was a dry situation. We see Edu is actually off the track there, getting a 3-second penalty, going very deep, almost hitting into Bashi. We're going to join back with Fenry and Jeremy Clarkson. The AI actually may start giving Jeremy Clarkson some grief. Will Jeremy Clarkson find himself being overtaken by the AI? And we still don't know if the intermediates are better than the wets. We've seen a lot of these intermediate drivers drop positions. Maybe that was a very bad choice from them. It is not as quick as the wets right now. They will be struggling for tire temperatures. And the AI goes for the overtake going into turn 1. Jeremy Clarkson just has nothing to show for him on his intermediates. We see a lot of sparks flying from the back of Fenry on a wet lap, which is not what you expect. And Ulipan is out of the race, having retired. Why has Ulipan... No, he just left the session. His car is still in the race. We see the only people with no penalties are Green and Bashi. If Bashi can maintain his no penalty streak, he may end up actually seeing himself in chance of a pole. We don't know how many penalties Ryan has, as we can't see from this view. But we see Nips now is having a battle between him and Oderly as they manage to catch up, and Max. His penalties galore, ladies and gentlemen. They're racking up these 3-second. It would be a surprise if no one gets disqualified just from this atrocious use of track limits that we're seeing. And Greeny now gets a 3-second penalty. This was his chance to not get a penalty and to maybe convert some of that time into positions, but he has screwed it up for himself. And the only person left is Lukai with no penalties, but it doesn't look like anyone ahead of Lukai will have enough penalties for him to be able to actually gain a position out of this. And Cameron has dropped down to basically last. I wonder what has happened. Eaglepat joins back in the race, and Nips now on the pit for a new set of wets. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I was talking about earlier, as the guys in the top 10 did not pit for a new set of wets. They were going very long and then wets. Maybe they're trying to do a one-stop on these wets, and they're very much showing that they can do it, as Ryan has gained a massive interval on Bashi, and Edu is still trying to find his way around. It is very much a striking range, but Bashi has not made a mistake yet. He's just not shown the pace. Ryan might be in for another win of the season, and Edu is going to be very frustrated if Ryan actually gains that win, ladies and gentlemen, because this may mean that Edu, the reigning champion, is going to find himself... Oh! Coast Guard has spun. He's very... Ow! Oh my goodness! And he hits Genie! Coast Guard has hit Genie in his reversing maneuver. This is not what you want to see. There may be a penalty applied to Coast Guard at the end of the race between him and the stewards. And that re-entry after the spin was also absolutely shambles. Now we're having an issue with our leaderboard not showing the intervals that we want to be seeing. And we see Max has gained a lot of positions actually. Showing yet again how he's just an exceptional tier 1 driver when he doesn't use the HUDs. And Oderly and Ulipat are side by side going into turn 1. Is Ulipat able to show Oderly just what it means to be the more experienced driver? Or is Oderly going to be able to hold him off? And he gets a little bit of a spin. Just a little bit of a spin there. A little bit of a slide. And that costs him going into the second straight. Now this is a battle that we were seeing battles all over the track, and Coast Guard has retired. What is going on? He's gone into the pits and he has retired. Now he's very much in his right to do so. Just why he would do that, we don't know. Because anything can happen. The race is still very much on. There's 16 laps left remaining. And Lukai, by the looks of it, is going to continue racing because he knows that as long as he doesn't get lapped, he is still in a chance of gaining positions. If there is another safety car, we'll be seeing people slide left, right, and center. We never know when the other safety car may appear. And Ulipat still finds himself stuck behind Odely on the edge of them track limits, borderline missing them. Oh, Ulipat has had a little bit of a slide, and that's going to cost him because he was in striking range of Odely here. And Oates is just lucky because that slide may keep him ahead of Ulipat for a few more laps. We're going to take a second. Just look at the race director. We're going to look at these penalties. Look at these incidents that have been racking up. A lot of track extension incidents and warnings. This is not what you expect to be seeing from Tier 1 drivers. But this is what we have today. The wet is just causing them all sort of problems. And Max actually had a drive-through for speeding under the VSC, which we missed. And somehow he's converted it into being in position. And Odely's had a little bit of a difficult time. It's allowed Ulipat just to gain the speed to overtake him. And obviously the experience of Ulipat and the pressure he was applying on Oates caused him to go wide. And Genie gets another 3-second penalty from going off the track. And we see that Bashi has been overtaken by Edu. Did Bashi screw up eventually? Finally, sorry. And he cuts going. Oh, and that's cost him. He gained a 3-second penalty for cutting across the line going into the pits. That may have actually ruined his race. But it is now time that they actually switch to new tyres and is going onto the intermediates. It is still very much strong rain. We're seeing a lot of settled water. Is the intermediates the best choice here? Or are the wet still the best? We actually see Oates coming out on softs. We have no indicators of what the weather is going to be like, what the weather is like, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, these drivers know, but we have no indication. We are just saying it as it evolves in front of our own eyes. And Oates decided the time that he got overtaken by Ulipat was the time he switched to a new set of tires. Maybe it was his tires that was causing him grief. Now Bashi has to overtake Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson on the 10-lap old intermediates. Maybe looking to take him to the end of the race. Maybe looking to switch them in one more pit stop. Bashi is just trying to find the space to overtake Jeremy Clarkson, but he's just too far back. And he's in the wrong gear. And that has cost him a little bit of time onto Jeremy Clarkson, but he's using a full extent of them track limits. And he's actually slowly gaining on Jeremy Clarkson because Jeremy Clarkson's racing line is just not as immaculate as Bashi's is. But he was unable to find traction coming out of that last S. Now it's very much looking like the rest of the leaderboard are jumping onto intermediates. So the engineers must be saying that it's time for intermediates as Jorn de Boer gains a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not what you want on top of his already stacked up 6-second time penalty. Now Bashi would have been in chance of podium. He's actually coming out behind Edu, but he's going to go for the overtake. That undercut was absolutely phenomenal from Bashi. Edu gets that lockup. And that's not what he wants. Bashi is actually going to end up being slowed down by Jeremy Clarkson, who's on the older intermediates, while Edu is attacking from behind. Not what you want to be seeing. Jeremy Clarkson gets a time penalty for cutting the line going into the pits. I'm going to go back to see the battle evolve between Bashi and Edu. And yet again, Edu is just struggling to find traction as he was earlier when he was stuck behind Bashi. We may see a repetition of the first half of the race where Edu is just unable to gain time. We actually see Ulipat. Oh, Ulipat has spun! Ladies and gentlemen, this guy had somehow gained all this time by not going to the pits, and it has costed him dearly by using them awful wets. It was time that he had changed, but he decided not to, and it is causing Jorn just to not be able to find anyone to take him. And Jorn and Adja are now battling. Jorn has lost position to Adja because of Ulipat blocking the track. You see Edu attacking Bashi right now. Bashi is actually going for the left side of the track because he knows that is the better position to be going into the chicanes, as he will have the ability to push anyone on the inside off the track fairly if you have the inside going into turn 1. And the time interval up to Rin is just increasing as the laps go on. Rin is just running away with this absolutely phenomenally. Jeremy Clarkson is very much holding up everyone behind him, but he is racing for position, so this is his right to do so. He may be taking his inters all the way to the end of the race, but at some point he's going to find himself just unable to show any speed with the 1 intermediates when the time presents itself to show some speed. Now let's look at our time penalties here. We've got Adja with 15 seconds. And Rin now gets the fastest lap on them intermediates as the track is starting to dry up. Now the battle continues between Jeremy, Bashi and Edu. Edu yet again hesitant to take the slipstream. For some reason this man does not like trailing directly behind another vehicle. Maybe because he is not used to having to overtake people. He's too much used to being at the front of the grid. So he does not know what it feels like to be behind another vehicle. And Bashi actually got slowed up by Jeremy Clarkson through them corners there. And Edu goes down the outside and is going to be on the inside. And he goes for the daring move. Bashi squeezes him, and is Bashi going to squeeze him again? Yes, he does. But Edu uses that chance to gain on him, and they are still side by side. One of them is going to have to give. None of them choose to give, and Edu actually gets the better of him because the track opens up on the outside of that turn, and Edu gains the position, and Bashi is unable to show anything for it, and he loses position now, and that allowed Jeremy to gain that 1 second advantage on both of them. But Jeremy may actually find himself struggling as Edu roars behind him. You can see the steam coming from his face out of the pure frustration of being held up for so long. We're going to go to the other battle that's been happening between Jorn and Adja. Bashi now gains another 3-second penalty. That effectively puts him out of the contention of the top 3 here. Unless the following top 3 can gain a 3-second penalty, Bashi has pretty much guaranteed himself P4. And Jorn de Boer goes on the inside after following the slipstream, and Adja is using his ERS on the overtake just to maintain position. And he knows that outside position is the advantage. He can actually push Jorn a little bit wide, and that must be a time penalty for him for the corner cutting or a warning, one or the other. But that actually upset his vehicle. He's using a lot of ERS to try and once again go for the attack. And Jorn says, no, not today. But it actually goes wide. And Archie uses that to his advantage. He must be kicking himself. And he gets a little bit of a slip, blocking the Ferrari of Max from behind him. We'll see, Max actually has a little bit of a fan base behind him. One of the tier 2 drivers, Woyander, showing his favoritism for Max. Lukai has slowly been gaining time on Genie. And Oates, for some reason, has dropped down to P14. Cameron, as usual, hovering around that P12, P13 position. He has nothing to show for today. Maybe because he's been practicing on the controller in the dry and not in the wet. He's been sliding everywhere. And when will he realize that driving on medium traction control on controller in the wets is actually a hindrance and more than anything? And he should be driving with no traction control like the experts do. We see here, Cameron gets another time penalty. Jeremy Clarkson is now right behind Edu. Edu having overtaken Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson being on the worst tyres. Now, we know that Cameron actually just got that other time penalty. He's actually 2 more penalties away from being disqualified. If he does get disqualified, that will be it for him. And that will be a P15 for Lukai. And in fact, he's jumping into the pits. It looks like he may end up last for the remainder of the race. We're going to hop into the AI of Fenry. Still behind Farham. Farham now 12 seconds behind Max. Something must have happened in the shenanigans, in the pits and the intermediates. He's actually lost time to Max, but he's still very much in the points. And now Fenry, we know he will actually get a DSQ for racing the full race in AI. Not what you want to be seeing. And now the question is whether or not the stewards will do anything about him leaving the race before that lap 14 after the lobby restart. That actually means Nips is on target to get points. As long as he doesn't get any more penalties and Ulipat does not catch up to him, he'll be on target to get points. Currently, Edu is now just making waves ahead of Jeremy Clarkson, and he is on the strive to catch up to Ryan. Will he be able to make up that 8-second gap within the remaining 8 laps, or will he not? Ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes, you'll be seeing in your chats the poll for driver of the day. Now, obviously, you're going to have to give me some time to actually make this poll, but you'll be seeing it nonetheless. We'll just be hopping between a few drivers while I'm making this poll. We can watch this three-way battle for effectively P5. Atcher has been holding off from the guys behind. He's been showing phenomenal driving, and as Jorn goes actually on the outside. Atcher goes way too deep. Jorn gets the expert switchback. No. Oh, Atcher's sort of screwed himself up now. He's now being attacked from the other side behind him. If Max can get the traction coming out of the last corner, as the track is actually starting to dry up. If Max can get the oh, they both jump into the pits. Atcher may have responded to the Ferrari of Jorn jumping into the pits, and he may have jumped into the pits as well. We're going to see what's going to happen if Fenry has retired from the session. It's very odd. Now actually loads a safety car, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we were talking about earlier. And Atcher and Jorn are actually going to be very happy, because that safety car may actually allow them to be within the top 5. Or maybe the top 3, as everyone else is going to be bidding for softs. And if they can catch up to the guys ahead within this lap, they may be in for a podium. And Edu and Bashi are going to be, oh, they're already on the softs. They would have pitted already. When did these guys pit? Was I just unaware or something? I really wasn't paying attention. But it doesn't matter now. It's going to be a sprint race to the end. Luca is going to be very happy. No, he actually got lapped. So Luca will be very unhappy, because he's going to be yielding to all of these blue flags. Now we're gonna check early here. Early is not a lap down. The question is Max? Max is gonna have to. No, Luca may be in for a. No, he's very much stuck behind Ryan. He's going to be yielding to a lot of these blue flags. And maybe so will Cameron. Yes, so will Cameron. Cameron is just coming out ahead of Lukai. Lukai is obviously the better driver between Cameron and himself when it comes to being on drives, and especially since Cameron's hindered by the controller usage. I'm going to take this time to post the poll. Now the poll will be between everyone who's currently on the track. We'll see it in a few minutes. Now, if you look into the chat, the straw poll has been posted. If you're on Twitch, it'll be posted in a second. Open up the straw poll and vote for your driver of the day. Driver of the day is open to every driver that is on track. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is now basically a 6-lap sprint for a 6-lap sprint for the win. Now, Lukai and Cameron, depending on how their escape goes here, they may not get waved for blue flags. They may be able to actually overtake Ryan, depending on if they're faster than him in the first set of corners. If they are, they will have unlapped themselves. Now, looking at the rest of the pack, let's see what we've got here. We've got Edu, who's actually stuck behind 2 blue flags. This may actually allow Rin to get away. Rin may be able to get away if Edu gets significantly hindered by the blue flags. Now the question is, between Lukai and Cameron, which one of them are going to yield the most time to the blue flags? Because as you may have seen before, is that drivers who yield tend to yield too many positions, and they end up losing a lot of time to the guys behind. And usually certain drivers at the front may yield less than certain guys near the rear. Those are blue flags I'm talking about. So you may see 2 blue flags next to each other actually slowing down, one slowing down too much and the other one not slowing down at all. So we wait and see between them who's going to slow down the most. Now let's wonder, if this was Cameron who was leading the pack, he would be very much slowing down the pack to a snail's pace at this point. Snail's pace to try and throw them off. But as Rin, I don't know if Rin is employing that tactic as well. It looks like he's not. Rin may actually get slowed down because the safety car is not... No, he doesn't. Okay, they started way before the safety car actually got into the pits, but it doesn't matter. Edu is side by side with Lukai. Is Lukai getting blue flags yet or no? Yes, Lukai is getting them blue flags. He's not yielding the position because he wants to catch up to Cameron. And Lukai is actually slowing down Bashi. Bashi's going to be very frustrated. And there is contact between Edu and Bashi. Lukai now gets out of the way. Now it's only a case of matter to see if they will catch up to Cameron. And there is a battle going on between Bashi and Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson's only got that 3-second time on it. And it's actually going to end up ahead of Edu. And that is for position. Edu's kind of overtaking off the track. And Edu has spun! Oh my goodness, Edu has spun! That is his race finished! His race is over, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be so frustrated about the contact between himself and Jeremy Clarkson. And that it will be thrown down to the stewards, because there may have been some unfair contact going on there. And Adger is going to be kicking himself in the butt because of the 21-second time penalty that he has managed to gain. Farham, we see himself going down with the drive-through. And that has cost Farham his race also for not yielding to the delta of the safety car. We're actually going to sit behind because we're seeing a horrible train going on here. As Edu's going to jump into the pits. No, he doesn't. He stays out. Yorn has jumped to the pits. Edu stays out, even though he has damage. He knows that he can take it to the rest of the race. And he's going to stay for that position. He wants the points. Yorn has jumped into the pits and he's going to be hating himself. What has happened? He has reset himself on track. Oh, wait. What? Is it? Something is going on here. The lobby is... The leaderboard is glitched out. But anyway, nonetheless, we're going to see what is going on between our resident top 3 drivers. Let's get the intervals coming up on the screen. Where the hell are the intervals? Here they are. Jeremy has actually managed to pull ahead. He's up for P2 at this point. Bashi is right behind Jeremy. He's going to be on that slip. Whenever DRS comes online, Jeremy is going to be in a whole world of trouble because this is Mexico and the 2 DRS zones, or 2 of the 3 DRS zones, the straights, are one after the other. They are tied together, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell is going on with my game? They are tied together. If you get the DRS on the first zone, you will have the DRS on the second zone. Bashi is not using his DRS. He is out of ERS. And so is Jeremy Clarkson, but their lights are not flashing. Bashi is just unable to actually use anything. Oh, and he gets a time penalty. Oh my goodness, this is going to be so frustrating. So frustrating. He's now up for 9 seconds. He has to get that gap onto Adger. Otherwise, he will actually be in chance of being completely out of the podium. Get these penalties up on the screen now. No, Adger has that 21-second time penalty. So it really does not matter at this point. Once the Adger has now gained another set. Cameron has DNF'd. I don't know if he DNF'd in the pits or not, but he will be getting his points. Adger is on the borderline of being disqualified. He's got only 1 lap left. He gains another time penalty. He may be disqualified. This is make or break for Bashi. This is his chance. There is no DRS and he is 1 second down from Jeremy Clarkson. He has to get that slip. He does not have the ERS to be wasting. He's using it very conservatively and Jeremy Clarkson is dumping all of his ERS. His light is flashing but it is not accurate. Bashi is right behind Jeremy Clarkson. Can he use the track to his full limits? He does, but Jeremy Clarkson just gets a better run on him. And he's trying to break the toe and he's weaving a little bit. He's going to go 1 move left for Jeremy Clarkson. And he's going to use it to try and squeeze Bashi a little bit. Bashi is just unable to find it past Jeremy Clarkson. Oh! Bashi cuts across the line. Cuts across the track. But he doesn't get the penalty for it. It goes on the inside. There's contact between Bashi and Jeremy Clarkson. This is what we came to see, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to hop to Edu very quickly. He's stuck behind Abroad Genie. Abroad has gone from last to P6. Oh my goodness, he may actually come ahead of Edu. Edu is completely, utterly washed. And this is it. They are side by side going to Sector 3. Bashi is good. It's gonna. One of them is gonna have to push off, and it was Bashi. No, he's gonna be so frustrated. He's gonna be so frustrated. He had to push off there, just so they wouldn't both spit out. We saw it last time when they were both in Azerbaijan, that they both raced each other to the death. And abroad, Genie and Edu, what is gonna happen is gonna come down to the penalties. Who's gonna have the more penalties here? And Edu gets the position ahead of abroad Genie, and Archer actually drops down to P9. Oh my goodness. Max is coming in P11. Max is up to P7. Where is Farham gonna come with his time penalties that everyone has? Is up to P11. He's out of the points. And Jorn de Boer is gonna be kicking himself in the rear. He screwed up his race. He was in for a top 5, and he just screwed it up. Phenomenal driving, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we came to see. This is what we came to watch. And this is your chance to vote for your driver of the day. The driver of the day votes will be closed in a couple seconds. We're going to give you 1 minute. In fact, by the time the leaderboard appears, that's when we'll be taking the results for the driver of the day. And they're looking close. These drivers of the day, they're looking very close. Ladies and gentlemen, and that is it. The final sprint at the end of the race made it very interesting. This is what we came to watch. And we were very much pleased by what we saw. Our winner is Rin, going in for a second win in this season. Just completely ran away with it, and no one was able to show anything for it. Edu actually got spun out when he had contact with him and Bashi, and he actually dropped down to P5 ahead of Edu, ahead of Genie. Actually dropped down to P10 because of the penalties that he had, the 24-second penalty. Farham was out of the points in P11. Epic Melon, Ulipat in P12, Jorn in P13, and Lukai, our tier 2 driver reserve, in P14, ahead of Cameron, the reigning champion from the previous season. No, it wasn't. It was Edu. I don't know who the reigning champion was. It was one of them. Anyway, driver of the day, currently looking at the votes going in. This is your last chance. I'm going to give you a few more seconds if you haven't voted for driver of the day. This is your last chance to vote. Vote for your driver of the day before we announce it. We're going to give you 30 seconds here. 29, 28, 27, 20. Driver of the day votes. If you haven't voted, look in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. It will be reposted by myself in the chat. You got approximately 20 seconds to vote for driver of the day. Just hop into the straw poll and vote who you think driver of the day belongs to. And in the event of a tie, driver of the day will go to a tiebreaker. 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drivers of the day have closed for tier 1. And it is actually a 3-way tie between Jorn, Genie, and Lukai. Jorn, Genie, and Lukai for drivers of the day. Now we're going to actually try and bring Edu, if Edu is online. Edu is not online here. So we're gonna drag in Jeremy Clarkson. We're going to bring him to the commentary. Jeremy Clarkson.
Oh, hello.
Hello there, Jeremy.
Hello, Mr. Tabo. How are you doing today?
Yeah, that was a very ferocious drive between yourself and Mr. Edu.
Yeah, did you get a good angle on it? I watched
Yes,
it.
I was seeing the whole thing. In fact, Edu did get spun out when you guys made contact.
I know you spun out with you, and that's not my issue if he spins out or not.
Okay, right. So
You
what,
know,
what do you...
it's hard racing. You know, I go in a bit deep. He doesn't turn out at all. I mean, of course, he's going to be contact man. He's on the outside. What do you expect?
Okay, so you say it's his fault.
No, I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying it's not my fault.
Oh, so this is not your fault. Okay,
No.
I see how it is. Okay, well, let's try and get word from the man himself to see what he thinks. Maybe he'll think in contrary to what you're saying. And
He ill, so
he's ill. Okay, he's unavailable to come into the voice chat. Okay, that is
so
okay.
you have to go off me. So I sent it, yeah. I went in a bit deep, yeah. That's fine, and that. But I didn't go in like I didn't go off the track sort of thing. I just I was like half a car's width off the apex, and let them race.
Well, it was a very tough racing. Edu actually managed to come back from dropping down to P12 back up to P5, mainly because of penalties. So phenomenal driving nonetheless. Well, thank you.
Did you like my strategy? Did you like my strategy?
Your strategy was it was good. You did the one stop and then you had to go to the second stop just for the dries. That actually allowed you to get into the top, wasn't it?
Yeah, I paid way too early for that. I should not have gone on those inters. They were horrible, man, for like so long.
But near the end of the stint, you were gaining on the guys in front.
Yeah. I got fastest lap twice on it.
Amazing.
And they were dead. So yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
No problem.
We're gonna hop over to our next person
Okay.
here.
Can I go?
Yes, you can go.
Yeah, bye. Thanks, Reem. Make sure to like and subscribe and buy stuff from Doomsday.
Yeah. Like and subscribe and buy stuff from our sponsors down below. Okay, now let's see if we can get another driver coming in. Who do we want here? Let's go for let's just quickly transition. Okay, so we're gonna go for who's online. Let's go for Yawn the bar. Hello there, Yawn.
Hello there.
Right, can you explain to me how the hell you managed to drop from being P5 to basically the back of the grid? What happened?
So basically, you want to know from the start or the end?
The ending, just before the sprint race, when you were actually in for P6, I believe it was, and you dropped.
It was because two things basically. When Nifs spun,
yep,
he blocked me. I got wing damage, a little bit of wing damage, not necessary to pit, and got a penalty. But it wasn't really his fault. I saw it. So, and the second thing, Edu spun, and then I broke my whole wing off, and then
you got collected.
Yep.
So that was your race over. Well, just when I thought Edu's race was over, it turned out your race was over.
Yep, I had a very good race. I was gonna get good points there, but
yeah, you actually your race was so good that the viewers gave you driver of the day. Well, they didn't give it to you. They gave you basically you're up for driver of the day versus two other people, who are Genie and Lukai.
Ooh, alright, that's interesting.
So it is a driver of the day three-way tie between yourself and Genie and Lukai. So
okay,
we'll
that's
get it
nice.
down to
Thank
another
you.
vote, and then if you win, then excellent.
Alright, one thing to say, just please don't mind my language in tier 1 chat. Thank you.
Alright, bless. Appreciate it, Yon. You have a good evening.
You too.
Alright, we're going to take a second here to pull in just one more driver. We're going to pull in a Ping Monkey or Bashi. Even though he is currently streaming something, I don't care. I'm going to pull him in. Hello there, Bashi.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. Sorry for dragging you away from whatever the hell you're doing.
Going to start.
Yeah. So, did one interview. How do you feel about how you basically got robbed out of a win today?
What do you mean robbed?
So, it was nothing bad that you did. It was just some very, very strong driving from the guys that were behind you. You were holding Edu up for quite a lot of laps. Eventually, he overtook you. But then you kind of came back at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, so what happened was I was holding Edu up anyway, naturally. and I held him up enough that Rin could pass him. But then we realized straight away that Rin was massively faster than me as well. So I said to Rin, let's invert the cars and we'll swap if I'm faster or whatever, but I'll just try and hold Edu up, which I did, and Rin managed to gain a 5-second gap, which is perfect. But then obviously the safety car came out, lots of stuff happened, and then on the restart, Jeremy took me because Lukai's blue flag didn't get out of the way. He didn't get out of the way for blue flags, and it held me and Edu up.
Yeah, we did see
I
that. That's
wouldn't
going to be
say-
very interesting to see what the stewards are going to say about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was robbed of a win at all. I don't think after Rin overtook me, I wasn't in contention for the win. It was my choice to let Rin go and get that win. I was going to hold up as many people as I could
Well,
because I knew I could probably
by
get
the looks
podium.
of it, when Ring came up to you, he targeted you from basically from last. He came up with some furious speed, and it very much looked like you guys were battling for the position.
We was at first. At first, I was going to battle him, and then I said to him next lap, look, we'll invert the cars on the second straight.
So
Which we
team
did.
orders.
Yeah.
And then you slow down Edu, and Edu unfortunately had
Massively.
his spin and incident. Now, would you say you contributed to any part of Edu's spin out?
Not at all.
Not at all? Would
Not
you
at
say-
all.
would you,
I was nowhere near them. I was at least good 6-7 tenths behind.
But would you say that you're slowing down, which allowed basically everyone else to catch up, even though it was after the safety car restart, caused problems for Edu, considering that he may have been under pressure from the start of the race simply due to be behind you? Would
No.
you say that the mental effect had a part in this?
I would not say that, because Edu went out of the race because of Lukai's blue flag. Me and Edu went side by side into turn 1, which is when we were behind Lukai. And then Jeremy came bombing it up the inside of both of us, and it messed with us both. And then, and then obviously the incident happened. I'm just watching the replay now, to be fair. And from the looks of it, it looks like Jeremy has gone wide, but Edu's gone wider, and it's just sent Edu around.
So you'd say, if anything, you were more of a victim of this.
Neither. I think I
You're a
benefited
bystander.
from this.
You benefited.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, appreciate it, Bashi.
No worries.
You go have fun showing off
Will do.
your race, and
Thank you.
we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Alright. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the man himself, Mr. Bashi, that he had absolutely nothing to do with Edu's spin round, and in fact, the perpetrator was, in fact, Lukai. Now, the blue flags is something that we did mention, that he may be under severe pressure from the rear to see if he has to give up the blue flags. Now, we did see Mr. Cameron, the guy who was in front of Lukai, completely run away with it, so he did not have to yield to the blue flags. But Lukai himself was unable to run away with it, so he had to yield to the blue flags. And apparently that is the thing that caused the incidents between Edu and Jeremy Clarkson. Now, whether or not these stewards are going to have anything to say about this is yet to be seen, but it is interesting racing nonetheless. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. It has been your man, DMC. Today we have been sponsored by Cos Anime Designs. Cos Anime Designs. They're currently having a Christmas sale. If your loved ones, family, or friends are into anime, whether it's Avatar The Last Airbender, Naruto, or any other anime that you could possibly think of, like One Piece, go down to the link below, Cos Anime Designs, and buy them the gift, the perfect gift for Christmas. Get your 15% off on all orders with free shipping nationwide in the UK and worldwide shipping to anywhere, and I mean anywhere, on the planet, except Antarctica. So almost everywhere, except the North Pole, because that's not a place. And we have been powered today by Zifford, the one who leads this league, with our music sponsored by Bashi. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will be seeing you next week.